All right. All right, our next guest is a legendary rock and roll fashion designer. Not only rock and roll, but the dude's kind of covered every genre at this point. I mean, I grew up watching his clothes on stage, and it's going to be really cool to get to the bottom of, how all this stuff is created. Stefan, what's happening? Wornstar Clothing, what's going on?
A whole lot. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Pleasure to have you on today, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Pleasure
it's
to be
exciting
here.
because so is that the new Zeppelin pinball machine you designed behind you there?
It is.
That looks awesome.
Well, thank you. Yes.
That's because it is.
Yeah. I mean, pinball's really been making a comeback the last couple of years. I mean, in Montreal, we got Northstar Pinball, which is it's just all pinball and like craft booze, and it's
Oh,
pretty
cool.
cool to see. Like, and it's all vinyl too. My buddies, they have a DJ group called the Punk Police, and they DJ every second Friday of the month. And it's all 45s, all vintage 45s, all punk and soul, and it's just you go over there, you play pinball. It's
Well,
great.
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So what goes into like designing a pinball machine? I mean, is that I'm guessing it's kind of different from designing clothes.
It's different from designing clothes, but clothes wasn't where I started. It's basic graphic design. I've done graphic design in the entertainment industry for decades now, so it's not really that different. And but obviously, there's different elements you got to design. You got to design the cabinet and the play field and back glass and a lot of other elements in it. But I also have a package design background. I think it's similar to that. You just got to
Hmm.
think in 3D, even though everything that you're designing is 2D.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Uh,
Is it, yeah. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, where did what was your first love when it comes to designing and to the creative arts? Because you've done photography, you sort of pimp people's guitars, for the lack of a better word. You do the clothing, you do all kinds of other stuff. What was that first one where you got in and said, I'm this? What was this? Were you a photographer first? Were you a designer first? Did you want to make
Well,
comic books first?
no, no, no. I was a musician first, but I always loved visual art, and I was always enjoyed that in my schooling. And so I got into graphic design and photography in college, and this was in the early '90s. So, digital graphic design was still in its infancy. Digital photography hadn't really happened yet. I learned on Photoshop 2.0 way back when. So I've been using it ever since then. But I've always loved, I think I loved music, I loved photography, and I loved graphic design. But I think graphic design is probably where I shined the most.
Hmm.
So that's what I liked focusing on the most. But I love photography as well. Originally, I was a photography major in college,
Hmm.
and found that I could shoot with the best of them. But as far as the darkroom went, I was okay. I didn't enjoy it as much. I preferred shooting. But then when I was working on digital work, uh, and when the digital finally caught up with the photography, I was able to do a lot of the work that I do in Photoshop on my photography, so I can shoot and then do my darkroom work on a computer instead. So that's when I kind of married the two together.
Who were some of the photographers that you grew up in, like loving their work?
Oh my goodness.
Were
You're
you like a
throwing me a
Ross
big
Halfin guy or Mark Knight,
Bob Gruen.
Laws?
I'm well, you're naming all of them. I mean, those are all great ones I grew up with. Flipping through magazines like Rolling Stone and Circus and Rip and Hit Parader, all those. I never really focused too much on the photography as much as I just liked a cool vibe,
Hmm.
and not as much on the photographer rather, unfortunately. So I didn't really study photographers. I just knew shots that I like because I knew certain people can certain people had a style that I liked that I tried to emulate when I started out.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it was, but yeah, I mean, I guess, but I love doing album artwork. I guess so I liked photographers that would do stuff, the stuff for that. One of my big influences was Hugh Syme. He's an art
Mhm.
director,
Yeah.
and I got to meet him about a month ago for the first time. But yeah, he did a lot of album covers in the '80s and '90s, and still does them today.
What do you think the difference is between a photographer like, Mick Rock versus Mark Weiss or somebody like that? What do you think where do you think they draw their inspiration from, and what sets a photographer apart from another photographer?
Um, ooh, I think hopefully they get the same inspiration that I get. I usually like my inspiration comes from the subject that I'm working with. I like to vibe off the person or the band that I'm shooting. Um, Generally, I don't shoot a lot. I used to shoot a lot more live. I don't do it as much anymore, but when I would shoot live, I preferred shooting with bands and artists that I knew
Hmm.
versus I'd shot a couple times when I was just hired to shoot, and I'd go out there and I would shoot the live band, and if I didn't know the people, I didn't kind of get the vibe of what I was trying to,
Right.
what I thought of. I wasn't getting the vibe of how to capture that band
You had to
the
be
way
inspired
I
by the
think.
music.
Inspired by the music, but also inspired by the personality. When I'm able to talk to them beforehand, where I'm able to shoot them in a studio beforehand, I can vibe off of them and see what kind of energy I'm gonna get off of them versus just going in cold to a photo pit and just shooting guys on stage. It could be anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me
But then
ask you
again,
two.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it's a lot more fun shooting Kiss versus shooting like some shoegaze band.
Right.
Well, yeah, yes, of course. Spectacle's always a little bit better.
It is. Let me just ask you about what I see there behind you. You've got a picture of Euthanasia from Megadeth, of course, which is you, Syme, who
Yep,
designed that.
I got that just that showed up in the mail a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
When I met him down at his gallery opening last month.
Nice.
I do want to ask you about that, but I want to get over there to Dimebag Darrell because that is a very, very famous picture of him that you took.
I did.
Talk to me about working with Dimebag because obviously when that thing happened, it just crushed all of us.
Yes.
What was it like working with him?
Oh goodness. Working with Darrell, probably the finest human being I think I've ever met. Not just musician, not just band guy, probably the nicest person I think I've ever met. I don't know if you guys have met him before.
I have, and when you permit, I'll tell you the story because it's hilarious. Okay. It's hilarious.
Okay. Well, usually any story that involves him is. But I met him probably. Well, I met him on the phone first in early 2004, so not long before he passed. And it was when he was coming back to Dean Guitars, and the guys at Dean Guitars said, "Hey, you want to design some guitars for Darrell?" And it was my first guitar design. I wanted to design guitars for years. Actually, I did one acoustic for Michael Schenker, but then I got asked to do Darrell's guitars, and I said sure. And we started designing. The Razorback was already kind of put together between Dean and Darrell, and then I started designing graphics for it, and I get a call on the phone, and it's a conference call with Darrell and Dean, and that's when I met him. That was early 2004, and they was talking about the designs I did. I did the Rust Razorback guitar, and they loved it. And I said, "Cool. What changes do you want to make to it?" And they're like, "Dude, Darrell's like, dude, that's already going into production the way it is." I'm like, "Holy cow!"
Wow.
So then we talked for a little bit about a bunch of ideas, and then in November in Milwaukee, Darrell was playing with Damage Plan, and he was staying at the hotel across the street. So I went up there, and I met Darrell face to face, and he hugged me like I've known him forever, and just a very warm human being, very nice. He was ready to design and create. Earlier that day, he had gone to Kmart and spent about $200 on art supplies and just drew a bunch of designs because that's how he did it. And he showed them to me, and then I had a bunch of designs that I had prepared, and Darrell and I sat in this hotel room for hours just designing guitars. and it was a surreal experience, but it was so cool. And then I went home. I didn't go to the gig that night, but they were playing Chicago the next day at the House of Blues. And so I came out to that, and that photo was taken there. And after that show, I've been
Great
so
picture.
busy. Thank you.
Yeah.
After that show, I was so busy, I never even looked at the photos because we were so busy. It was November, and we were launching Darrell at NAMM in January. So I had to get a bunch of designs done, and then I heard the news. There's a whole story about that, but I heard the news about it, and the night it happened, and I was on the phone with Dean, like, well, we need a photograph to do a tribute to him. It's like, did you get anything good from the other night? I'm like, I hadn't even looked. So I started scrolling through all the photos, and I landed on that one. And we both go, that's Darrell. That's not it's not a rock star shot, but it's totally Darrell. That's him. That's his personality in that shot. And so I let Dean Guitars use it as a tribute for that, and then it was used everywhere after that.
Right.
Yeah, it's all over the internet. When you Google, that's one of the first images that pops out, and that's why it's so classic and so special.
It's iconic at this point, that shot. I mean,
Totally.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's a good, it's good to have him there over my shoulder.
And that Razorback Rust guitar, by the way, they're still making it. It's still in production. I saw one in Montreal. Last week at Steve's. It was on the shelf.
Yep.
Yeah, they just re-released it, reissued it as an import, but it was originally done as a USA model, as a tribute model. In fact, there was one that was made that Darrell hadn't even seen the finished Razorback yet before he was killed. Yeah. So a couple of days after the show in Columbus, he was supposed to come back to Chicago. I believe it was Soil that was playing a gig, and he was going to come out to that, and we were going to present him with the first one. So we had the first Razorback guitar with the rust finish on it. It had a different set of inlays than what went into production, and that was to be the guitar that he was going to see for the first time. We had photographer lined up and everything, and of course, what happened. And then we decided to, that guitar still exists. I believe Dean Guitars has it. And we decided to take that guitar and turn it into a tribute. And then I designed a crest that's his face with the two crossed guitars and the wings. And that got put on the headstock. That design's also been everywhere too.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got and can I share that story of meeting him? It's hilarious.
Please
real quick.
Do.
So they come to Montreal with Anthrax back in around volume 8, so 98, 99, I guess. And I take Frank and Charlie around Montreal. We go record store shopping and the whole thing, and then I take them out to the venue. So we get out to the venue, we're hanging around and all this stuff. And they're downstairs in the basement in their dressing room, and they're just sort of strumming along, and Charlie and Dimebag's there, and Vinnie Paul's there. And all of a sudden you hear these stomping steps coming down the hall, and the guys go, "You got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Everybody's got to leave." And I go, "Why?" They go, that's Phil, and if he's stomping, he's in a bad mood. They go, "You can stay here if you want, but we're not responsible." And they literally, so you've got all the Anthrax guys with John Bush and the Pantera guys with Rex. They go running out of there like in a cartoon. It goes, whoop, 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 and it was the funniest thing you've ever seen. Anyway, it ends up, we're all up at catering, and I end up having chocolate cake with Dimebag and Vinny. And that was it. I mean, that was the strangest day of my life. But you hear, and they just, I was like, what the fuck? That means he's in a bad mood. Okay.
You were scared of Phil? Jeez.
They were frightened of Phil. Like, literally, the cartoon soundtrack started going. You know, that. It was like, beep, beep. They all became Roadrunners.
I could totally picture that happening, too.
Right. Benny Hill music.
And you've been around, I guess, the Pantera Camp. I guess you must have heard the stomping footsteps too and gone, "Oh shit, it's going to be one of those."
Well, no, I didn't meet Darrell and Vince until
Oh, after.
Damage Plan.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't meet them till much later.
Let me just quickly ask you about the photography. Are you more interested in getting a proper posed picture and it has to have certain elements, or are you more one that just wants to capture a moment, if you know what I mean?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about live or studio,
Right.
I'm not really looking for. I don't like pose stuff. I think it's too boring and cheesy. I'm looking for personality and energy.
Absolutely.
What I want to see is I want that it doesn't have to be an iconic shot. It just has to have their personality. I want that shot that if I was flipping through a magazine back in 1984, I would go, holy crap, I would tear that out and I would hang it on my wall. That's the reaction I want from my photography. Or when I'm trying to shoot, when I'm shooting artists, I want an iconic shot. And when I shoot when I'm shooting for the artist, it's one thing. I'm trying to capture what they want.
Right.
When I'm shooting for Wornstar, I'm trying to capture the clothes, of course, but it's more important that it's about them wearing the clothes. So I'm looking for a personality shot of them. Especially when I'm shooting a rock star. It's always, well, I want to do a photo of what your fans would like to see. If my clothing looks good in it, all the better.
Right.
But I'm more interested in knowing in saying if I was shooting, I don't know, I can't even think of a band right now, but let's say if I was shooting Darrell, if I was taking pictures of Darrell, I would want to capture a photo of what I think Dimebag Darrell and Pantera and Damage Plan fans would want to see.
Right. Let me just get onto the clothing for a second. How did you morph into designing clothing? And the other question is, how did you get into this world? Because there's a lot of kids sitting at home, and there's even me going, "Oh, I'd love to be with rock stars every day," but we never get there. How did you become sort of the dresser of the rock star?
Well, the rock star thing, being around rock stars, that is part of the job. That is the least of my interest, though. I was more concerned about designing a cool clothing line that I liked, that our customers would like, and that artists would like. I started out in the music industry first, being a musician, and then doing band photos and album artwork and guitars. So I already knew a lot of people in the industry. So when we started the clothing company just as a side business. We started Wornstar as a side business, and just to kind of help bring in business to the photography, because we'd be like, oh, we have a stylist on staff, and I'd always designed merchandise for different bands, and my wife had always designed clothing for some of the bands we would shoot. So when we turned it into a clothing brand, it made a lot of sense. But yeah, as far as hanging out with rock stars and all that stuff, it's funny because we do get, when we're hiring new employees, that's one of the first questions we ask. It's like they all think that it's all about hanging out with rock stars all day.
Right.
And that happens once in a while, but if that's what you're interested in, I'm not interested in hiring you.
But I mean, how did the Wornstar look become the look that it is now? It's like, I mean, from the jeans and the shirts to the hats, it's like, I mean, I think you're the golden standard for stage jeans at this point. It's like everybody wears your stuff, and you see it and you immediately know, okay, that's a Wornstar. Just like you see a Christian Benner jacket, like, okay, that's a Christian Benner, or that's a Ray Brown, or hey, oh, that's a John Varvatos jacket for sure. It's like, the Wornstar has a look to it. And how did that look happen?
Well, it evolved. It started out really small. We're still a very small company. There's just 8 of us. But it started out, like I said, as a side project, and the first showroom was our garage. And we just started out with doing graphic tees, because that's what I do. I design graphic tees, and then Sylvia, my wife, would do the custom stage wear. It just evolved because I guess because I mean, I do the design and the photography and all the creative direction, and Sylvia and I do the marketing as well for the company. So, and I've always done that for other brands when I was doing stuff for Dean Guitars and Stern Pinball and several other amp companies and guitar companies. My job was always to help with the branding, help build the look of the company. So that's what I did with Wornstar. I tried to build the brand, try to build the look of the company, and then keep trying to put out good product. I'm more concerned with putting out good product, quality stuff than you know, because we're then over the top looks. Because we even have simple T-shirts now that have no graphics on them, and they're selling like crazy.
Right.
But I draw inspiration from everything that I listened to growing up, rock and hard rock and soul and funk, and we like a little, and I'm a child of the 70s, so I love all the 70s glam rock stuff.
Right. Best era.
And yeah, exactly. And then in the 80s, I know all the Ray Brown stuff, and you know, we get inspired by other designers as well. We see, I like this, but I don't like that, and we kind of try and make some stuff our own by getting inspired by some of those other designers, even the ones that you mentioned.
Yeah. Let me just ask you this, because I'm pretty sure that one of my favorite T-shirts was designed by you, but I wear a shirt by Damon Johnson, Memoirs of an Uprising, with that bird on it. It is a fantastic shirt, and the material, I don't know if that's your shirt, but the material's comfortable as hell. You work with Damon.
I do. I designed that album cover for him. Yes, I designed that whole album for him.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, and the shirt's comfortable. But
Thank you.
Talk to me just real quick about Damon, because I've been a friend of Damon's for 15 years, if not more.
Great dude.
Oh, what a great dude! Just did you meet him when he was working with Alice Cooper, or was it with Thin Lizzy? Just quickly, let's shamelessly plug Damon Johnson for a couple of minutes, because he's such a good dude.
I'm all over that. Damon and I are good friends. I've been a fan of Damon since the Brother Kane days. And I remember seeing Brother Kane back on the Wish Pool tour at the Metro in Chicago, and fantastic show, fantastic player. Always been a fan. And then internet comes out, and he, you know, Brother Kane disappears, and so I'm starting looking around on the line for, hey, what are some of my bands that I'm interested in? What are they doing? Because I worked in a record store too when I was in the 90s, early 90s. So there was a lot of little bands that I was totally into that didn't get as big as they should have. Brother Kane was one of them. So I was like, hey, what's Damon Johnson doing? And I stumbled across a website. I saw he had an album, Dust, and I bought that. And
it's a great album. Got No Shame.
And fast forward to when I started going to NAMM, and I went to NAMM in 2004 was my first year in Anaheim. And you know, I'm not someone that gets starstruck. I work with a lot of rock stars, and so it doesn't really faze me. There's a small handful of people that I would freak out, but I always say that, like, working in this industry is a series of holy crap moments. Like, you're working on something, and you realize, holy crap, I'm working on something for Damon Johnson, or working on
Warrant.
Something for Warrant, exactly. Yeah. So I'm walking around NAMM, and I'm at the St. Louis music booth, which is at the time was Crate amplifiers and stuff like that. And there's a few people doing a signing there. I think it was, I can't remember exactly. I think I remember Satriani was there. I'm not sure for sure, but I know Michael Anthony was there. And I see Damon there just kind of looking at stuff and chatting with people. And I immediately recognized him, and I walked up to him. I basically pushed Michael Anthony out of the way to meet Damon Johnson.
Poor Mikey, always getting disrespected.
I know. He's always getting cast aside. Holy mackerel. Story of his career. Poor guy.
So I met Damon there, and I said that to him, like, look, I'm walking around NAMM, there's rock stars everywhere, and I just pushed Michael Anthony out of the way to meet you. And we're chatting, and I had a little portfolio of my album artwork, you know, these little handouts I was giving out.
Yeah.
And I was chatting with him for a while and say, hey, if you're ever doing anything else, here, take this and give me a shout. And that was it. I think I might have gotten a photo with him. Nothing happened till a couple of years later. he was doing a show. He was doing a show with Slave to the System in my area. So
An
I'm
old
like,
Slave.
oh, I gotta go. I gotta go see this. So as usual, with my, like what photographers do is they try and weasel their way into a show for free. So I weaseled my way into that show to shoot him for ESP Guitars or whomever. I got credentials through someone else to go to that show for free up in Wisconsin. And I meet him after the show, and he recognizes me. We chat a little bit more, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be doing Alice Cooper in a show in Milwaukee in a couple of months. You should come out and shoot." And we exchanged info, and we've been friends since then. I shot Alice probably 6 times on that tour.
Wow.
So that was my first time seeing Alice Cooper was from the photo pit. So you can't beat that.
No, you can't. Been there, and it's the greatest thing ever. Just real quick, and I'm just going to throw that in there. You also have worked with Michael Grant, who was in L.A. Guns for a Hollywood Minute or a New York Minute. Do you still work with Michael? Because his work afterwards, his music afterwards, has been fantastic.
I don't. I met him just very briefly at again at a NAMM show. He was working the booth at Diamond Guitars, which I was also at, and so we got to know each other that weekend. But excuse me, but I did a photo shoot with him out on the loading docks there, and I didn't really keep in touch with him after that. But he's a super great guy. We hung out all weekend.
Yeah, just real quick, I'll mention f3studios.com if you want to go see everything that's going on in terms of the visual. Of course, we've got Wornstar Clothing, but F3 Studios is where you can see what you do, and it's great. I mean, the pictures.
Thank you very much.
I'm just looking at the stuff here with Dave Mustaine and Five Finger Death Punch and Zach. I mean, this is just next level.
It's a lot of old stuff there, but yes.
I don't care. It's next level. It's still next level. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on, you gotta love the old stuff though. When it comes to designing stage clothes for these guys, it's like, if Edge is coming to you and said, "Hey, I'm going Money in the Bank. I need a new stage. I need a new entrance jacket," or I'm John Fiver. These guys, they come to you. It's like, I need pants. Like, where do you start? Like, what is like ground zero for designing something for these guys?
Well, everything is different. Every artist is different. Edge is a good example of, and as far as the custom work goes, I would be speaking for Sylvia because she does most of that work. Mm-hmm. And I can't confirm or deny that she's working on something for Edge now.
Nice.
But yeah, she did his first jacket when he came back. He contacted us. Through another wrestler. There was another wrestler that we were working with, and he contacted us and said, "Hey, this guy Edge is coming back to wrestling, and he'd like you to do his stuff. He loves what we do for us, blah blah blah." And we don't really follow wrestling, so we didn't know, which is fine. But there was a couple people that do follow wrestling here, and they were flipping out.
Yeah.
So we knew it was kind of a big deal.
Huge deal. No. It's massive.
Yes. we come to find out afterwards.
Yeah.
But Edge came to us with his first jacket was based on a design that we had already done, a regular jacket that we had done. He just said, "Hey, let's turn this into a trench coat and let's do this and that." And so he sent some pencil sketches or some quick markers of what he would want, but it was based on something we had already done. So, and then I took it into Photoshop and turned it into, a trench coat version and added some things here and there. And Sylvia and I worked on that together, and we ran it by him and he loved it. So we made that. And then after that, he wore that at what was that? The Royal Rumble, the first one?
I think it was, that's where he made his return. It was the Royal Rumble. And it was...
So he wore it there, and it was freaky seeing it on HD and on the TV and
in a stadium.
In a stadium, yes, with people.
By the way, but do you get excited like that when you get the new Damon Johnson record, or you see the guy on the Royal? Do you get sort of like a kid's excitement and go, "Hey, that's mine"? Like, is there still that joy?
Absolutely. I wouldn't do it if we didn't. Like I said, I try not to I don't get starstruck, and I try not to.
No, but you get proud and giddy. I mean, we all do.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a series of holy crap moments. You freeze frame that on TV and we're like Sylvia and I both there with our jaws on the floor going, look at that jacket. It looks fantastic on him.
Damn, that looks good.
It fit him, and we haven't even met him yet. So like, we got lucky.
Yeah.
Since then, we've designed, I think 3 or 4 more for him, but all based on that first one.
Nice.
That's great.
A red one, a white one, a couple others that he's worn already.
And just imagine how excited you'd be if Jeremy and I were sporting the Wornstar on all our shows. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic.
It would be.
We need some custom jackets.
Yes, we do.
The funny thing is that I always wanted to get Wornstar jeans, but I was always afraid that my thighs are way too fat and I would just look like I would just like not fit them properly. Is there like is that a thing? Like, do people come to you and say like, hey, listen, you know, like, are your jeans gonna fit me? Because
It's our number one question, because we sell mainly online. Selling mainly online when you're doing clothing is really kind of tough, because you got to get the fit right.
Yeah, I've got like the skinniest like calves, but then I have a big fat ass, and it's just like I don't know if it would be flattering to me.
Well, what we do, as far as if you're worried about custom fit, usually our custom designs are almost always based on our existing essentials jeans.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you want something that's a boot cut, they're usually based on our Hellraiser boot cut jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could buy the essentials boot cut jeans, try them out. If they fit you, you can keep them and order your custom pants, or you could take those pants, send them back to us, and we'll do the custom pants on those.
Right. Oh,
so you can fit on your own, on yourself. We also have a showroom that I'm sitting in right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not open yet. It's been closed since March of last year. But we're just putting it back together, and we're hoping to open in the next couple of weeks here. And we're outside of Chicago, so it's probably a bit of a hike for you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. One more thing, just a question for you, because I've always been curious about this in the fashion biz. Because I love wearing John Varvatos and like the All Saints and all these stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the difference between, say, a $128 pair of wax jeans from Wornstar versus a $350 pair of wax jeans from John Varvatos?
Just the name, I guess.
No, I don't know. I don't know the
material. Is it the craftsmanship? Is it like where it's made? Is it?
There's a lot of things that go into it. Materials are, they fluctuate. Some are more expensive than others. It's where it's made. It's who made it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the brand, the name brand on it. There's a lot of things that go into it. I love Varvatos' stuff, but I can't say that I've tried the pants on to tell you what the difference would be.
Right. Yeah, because I'm always curious about that. I'm like, well, what's the difference if I just go get a pair of these like Old Navy jeans and just wax them myself at home, or or
you can do that if you don't value your time. You can do that.
Right. So all these jeans, for example, if I bought a pair of Hellraiser wax denim jeans from you off the website, like, are you guys like waxing them in house? Like, are these like bespoke, like custom made pants, or like are they just coming from the factory in China, or like talk about the quality of Wornstar a bit?
Okay, the quality of Wornstar. Well, we designed. We started out with our graphic tees and our custom stagewear. And when we first started out, we made our custom stagewear on other people's jeans.
Hmm.
You could send in your own, or we would buy other jeans and put it on there. And then we decided, you know what, we want to make it so that our fit is a bit more consistent.
Hmm.
So we started designing our own and had a manufacturer overseas make them. But we wanted to make sure that the quality was number one. We tried some places here in the US. We weren't getting what we wanted. So we had to go to other places around the world where doing clothing is what is the specialty, is what they do, and they do really well. And there's some places you can other countries you can get stuff made, and you can get good stuff and you can get terrible stuff, and that's the same in every industry. Guitar industry is exactly the same. You can have great stuff coming out of a USA factory, and you can have crap stuff, and same thing with their overseas factories. So we designed our jeans. We started slow and just designed a basic pair of jeans, and that's our Hellraiser that we still build on, and we perfected them over a few years, and now we're really happy with them. And from then, as far as our custom pants go, like the waxed denim you're talking about, or some of our ones that have graphics on them that we sell in our regular section, not our custom section.
Hmm.
Those are designs that started out as custom designs that we designed. We tried it out. We sold a good chunk of them. There was a good interest in it. And so we decided, hey, let's see what we can do to make it so a manufacturer can make this and make it well, make it as good as what we can do here. So that was the most important thing. That's why sometimes it takes quite a bit longer to get some of these designs out, because we want to make sure that they're perfect. We want people to go, I can buy the custom pants, but these are really good as well. So we want to take some of these custom designs, bring them down to a manufacturer and say, hey, this is what we have to do. If we have to, there's certain things a manufacturer can do that we can't do. So, and there's certain things that we can do that they can't do. So we just have to make some minor changes and get it to where we're happy with it, where we're happy to put our name on it. And then they manufacture it, ship them here, and we sell them out of here. And we even customize some of those pants once they get here.
Right.
Well, wow. Wornstar.com. That's where you have to head out and check out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a couple of pair of these jeans because they look really cool, and I'm looking for a new wax jean.
They really look. So. They look great. I'm looking at the whole line right now, from the beanies to the caps to everything, and there's even a American Daredevil tee that's done in that Warrant font, which is kind of cool.
The Warrant font.
It's the Warrant font. Come on. Well, I
designed that album.
I know. That's why I said that. Yes, I did. That's why I said it.
The Warrant font. It's the Robert Mason font.
It's the Rob Mason font. No, but he did that album. What was it? Harder. What was it called again? Harder, Faster.
Harder, Faster.
Right, for Frontiers back a few years ago, and that shirt has the same stripe across. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
There you go.
All right. Well, Wornstar.com, and make sure you check out this brand new Zeppelin pinball machine that's released as well. I mean, look at that. What a beauty.
That's at sternpinball.com.
Not the man. I'm talking about the pinball. Look at
right? Thank you very much.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
All right,
I did.
Stefan, this was great, man. It was really great to meet you, and I'm gonna be buying a couple of pairs of jeans off you. So look out for my order.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you, guys. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That was fun.